Welcome back to the Category Mistake. I am your host, Richard Mariello, and today we're talking about something kind of, topical. Um, May the 4th just passed, and of course, me being who I am, I've been watching a lot more Star Wars. I watched Andor, watched all these different things. I even listened to audiobooks about Star Wars. And lately, I've seen a lot of similarities between what we are doing as a country and as a world, as it kind of looks in, of course, the world of Star Wars. Now, am I saying we're living in a galaxy far, far away? No. What I'm saying is that we as a generation are looking at the world that we live in today as this newfangled, oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end. They see our president now as an Emperor Palpatine type who is trying to rule with an iron fist, getting the people that he needs to get in power to make sure that he stays in power. They also see civil unrest throughout the world and how maybe that's, again, something that is brought forth by the powers that be. Now, the funny thing is when you think about this has happened so many times throughout history, but every time we think it's something new. We thought King George was an emperor, so we rebelled and got our freedom. Then, of course, we had the civil unrest in our own country multiple times. Then we had Austro-Hungary. Then, of course, we had, the big bad Hitler and Mussolini and the Japanese. And then we had Korea and the Chinese and the Russians. And then we had Vietnam with the Chinese and the Russians. And then we had just the Russians. And then we had our own government again for a while. And then we had 9/11, which gave us a bad guy to look at again, Osama bin Laden. And our president took absolute power to get things back to safe and adequate things. We seem to keep going down this road where we are willing to give up our freedoms and our rights for safety. And then years down the road, we're going, why did we do that? That was really stupid. Who would have ever thought that was a good idea? People always look at it as a good idea in the moment. They never look at the long-term consequences. Now, I've taught history. I like history. I'm around history. I've been part of history. I've done things in my life that are historic. And what is funny to me, or not really funny, but what is bothering to me is that no one has learned from the past. We say we learn history, we teach history because we don't want to be doomed to do it again, to repeat it. Yet that's what we keep doing. And then we get upset when we do it. See, we had flower power in the 60s. We had free love and hippies. We had all that jazz, right? The problem with the free love and hippies and all that jazz and flower power and all that is this. The hippies are now on the right side. They're on the right wing side. Okay. They're Republicans. Why? Because the hippies got jobs. Hippies got jobs, started paying taxes. And a lot of them are like, I don't want to pay taxes like this. I don't want my government to control what I'm doing. This is what we fought against for Vietnam and Korea. We fought against the government being the all-powerful and all-knowing. And that's what they believe they're doing now in the Republican Party. So they're like, our president now is just trying to give us our freedom back, giving freedom back to the states while taking away other freedom. And then you have the people who are younger, who are like, we have to fight the power because the power is corrupt. And why didn't our parents ever fight against this? And why do our parents not see this as corruption and blah, 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 blah. Basically, they're turning into the free love and hippies of the 60s. And of course, 30 years from now, they'll turn into Republicans or turn into the other side, whatever side's in power, and fight that power. And it's been that vicious cycle since humans have roamed the earth. We don't understand how to learn from our mistakes. If the hippies from the 60s and the 70s took the time to realize what they were fighting back then, they probably would change a lot of their voices now. Now, am I saying I'm against what the president is doing? Some of it, yes. Some of it, no. Am I saying that I am for green power and everyone should have the right to do everything? Absolutely not. What I'm saying is we're deeming our government as the evil empire. We're showing the world that we hate our government and we think that they are poised for world domination. Instead of saying, hey, in 2000 we gave George Bush this power, or hey, we gave JFK this power when he blockaded Cuba and almost started World War III, or hey, we gave Nixon power to start trading with China and change the whole economic system of the whole planet, or Reagan, or Woodrow Wilson, or Teddy Roosevelt, or Franklin Roosevelt, or Truman to drop, I don't know, an atom bomb on the planet. Washington, Lincoln. We gave all these people the absolute power. We gave them the power of being the god. During World War II, Winston Churchill had power. Not power that normally he would have had, but because we were at quote-unquote war, he was given more power to make those decisions. Normally, we as humans will give up our rights if we feel threatened or if we feel like our money is being touched. Normally, they work kind of together in that avenue, though. Normally, if you feel threatened, it's because your money's going to be touched. But that's neither here nor there. During Vietnam, money was being touched. Guys were being drafted. Things were scary. During Korea, same thing. World War II, we had the evil Nazis and the evil Japanese trying to take over the world and destroy everybody. Honestly, they were coming after our money. Even 9/11, Iraq, all that was unfortunately money motivated. And our, quote unquote safety. So we gave up our freedoms and our rights. But just like the prices that we're paying now under tariffs that are magically not as much, we get used to not having that freedom, so we just keep it. I can prove that in one simple way. During the Great Depression, Franklin Delano Roosevelt set up this little emergency system that was only supposed to be for a certain amount of years. It was called Social Security. It was supposed to help people who are older, who didn't work, not be bankrupt and kind of basically be afford to live until the economy came back and the world came back. It was supposed to be a temporary program. It's now been around for like 100 years. And every year we get told it's going to go bankrupt. But that was supposed to be a temporary program, a temporary fix that never went away. After 9/11, we started Department of Homeland Security. It was supposed to keep things, people from getting onto planes to blow people up. And it was supposed to be just a certain amount of time that they were going to, be Gestapos and take over things and, overwhelm us with security. And again, we still have it today, 24 years later. And the reason is because we got used to it. We got used to being taken advantage of. We got used to our rights being taken away. And so we just said, okay, it's for our own good. My question, is it for our own good? Is having rights taken away for our safety, for our own good? I'd say sometimes yes. I also believe that there's got to be a line that we draw. And I think we, as a human race, cannot figure out where that line is. We have lost our vision. We have lost our positive mentality to go and say, hey, this is wrong. We shouldn't have to do this. And the funny part is, both sides of the aisle should agree on this. There should be no negative fight on this. Because simply, the liberals want freedom. They want freedom. They say we should be able to be free to do what we want to do. The Republicans, the conservatives, we should be able to do what we want to do. We should be able to say what we want to say. We should be able to go where we want to go. It's the same thing, except liberals then say, but we shouldn't be allowed to do this. For the graciousness of everyone's safety, we can't do this. And the Republicans are like, but for the safety of this and the safety of our children, we shouldn't allow this. And that is amazing. You literally have two sides that can't agree on anything other than we should have freedom as long as it's not infringing on somebody else's thoughts or ideas. So, freedom to possess firearms. Freedom or the right to bear arms. Republicans says right to bear arms. You should be allowed to have our weapons. We're most of us are doing the right thing. We're living our lives the correct way. We're not hurting anybody. We're doing everything correctly. Liberals. Why do you need an assault rifle to hunt deer or to do gaming? Or to, do target shooting. Republicans, it shouldn't matter what we have our guns for. We're protecting our family and our rights. Liberals, yes, but there are people out there that are bad that want to kill people with those guns, and those guns make it easier to kill people. Republicans, yes, but there's more good gun owners and bad gun owners. Liberals, it doesn't matter. Someone's going to die. Republicans, the people who get guns this way, a lot of times steal the guns, so it doesn't matter. And it goes on and on and on and on for infinity. Then you have the other side. Trans women are women, trans men are men. Liberals, they're trans women are women, trans men are men. Republicans, we don't want trans women in the locker room or in the bathroom with our girls. It's not safe. Liberals, most of them are just trying to live their life. They're not bad people. Republicans, yes, but one of them could be bad. And if one of them is bad, any of them could be bad, and they're going to put our girls in danger. And do you see how similar the fights are between these two subject matters? And there's over and over again, this is what we hear. It's all, it's my right. There's more good people than bad people. And why are we picking on just the bad people to make all the good people look bad? Doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. And this is where I get to Star Wars. If you know the story of Star Wars, great. This probably makes more sense to you. But if you don't, here's a premise. Okay? Dark side, light side. Okay? Republicans, Democrats. You call who you want to call. I don't care which side you want to be on. Okay? One of them is we're going to hide until we can get enough power. Once we get enough power, we'll take down the other side. The Jedi are going, hey, listen, guys, we're the good guys. We're controlling things. We're keeping everybody on the straight and narrow. These are the laws. These are the rules. Follow these rules. Everyone's safe. We know what we're doing. Trust us. Dark side, Sith. Listen, guys, these guys are corrupt. They don't even see how corrupt they are. Dark side, we're going to start a war to get our point across. And then the light side joins the war. But what the light side doesn't realize is that they're actually fighting against themselves. The light side gets the army from the dark side without even knowing it's from the dark side. The dark side has the other side, which is also an army, and they're basically fighting each other with no point. And at the end of it, the dark side's army goes away, the light side's army becomes the dark side's army, and the dark side becomes a government. And then the light side goes away, they disappear. But then they start a rebellion to fight against the dark side again. And that rebellion works for a while until the dark side comes back, creeps back in, and does it all over again. It's a vicious cycle. Hey, these are my rights, and I trust you to do this, but you can't go here because that's not right. And then the other side's, no, these are the rights that we want, and you guys are corrupt, and we want to take over because you guys are bad. Back and forth, back and forth. And it's absolutely insane that not only do we think it's okay, we think it's a problem that we've only started realizing. When America revolted against England, it wasn't like, they always say, oh, it was because of a stamp act or a tax on tea. It wasn't that. It was simple. Hey, we don't like people being in charge of us that are thousands of miles across the ocean telling us what to do, telling us how to live our lives and what rights we're allowed to have. It's not fair. It's not nice. We want to rule ourselves. And England's like, but we know what's best for you and we like your money. And then America found people who didn't like paying taxes. Then we found people who didn't like England. Then we found people who just like shooting things. Then we found drunk people in a bar. Hey, here's a gun. Go shoot somebody. Literally, it was a rebellion, aka Star Wars. The founding fathers knew this was not something that was going to be easy or simple. And no matter what, things would have to change after they wrote down those 10, inalienable rights. Okay. George Washington did not say, hey, you have the right to bear arms to go against your tyrannical government. Here's a tank. Take it. They had muskets. They had very few weapons that could just blow people away. But they wanted people to know that their government was not going to come and take everything from them, that their government was there to protect them, and if they didn't feel like they were doing a good enough job, they could fight against the government. It happened during the Civil War. Okay? They also didn't say, hey, free speech, you have the right to say whatever you want anytime you want. No, the policy of free speech was, hey, the government's out of control. We should say something about it. Not, hey, you're ugly and I don't like you and I think you should die in a hole. No. No taxation without representation. Well, we tax Puerto Rico, we tax DC, we tax everything and anything. And most of us are not equally represented. And we've just kind of accepted it. We've accepted that, hey, we're paying taxes to supply money for things. There was no Department of Education. There was no Department of Homeland Security. There was no Department of anything. It was basically, hey, here's the Treasury. You guys are going to be in charge of this, and you guys are going to be in charge of this. Go. Our government is huge. We have 300 million people, and those 300 million people want guidelines and rules. I don't think we should live in anarchy, but I also think we allow ourselves to have so many rules over us, we don't know what we do without them. I just watched a press briefing from Joe Biden, the president, back in late 2020. After he got elected, it was early 2021. And he said, we will never mandate vaccines. We will never fire government employees for not taking the vaccine. We will never mandate masks. Things changed. Now, am I pro-vaccine? Am I anti-vaccine? It depends on the day and what it is. Am I pro-mask, anti-mask? Well, all the experts until the very end were saying masks didn't do much, but we were told to wear them anyway, so most of us did because, well, we needed a job. We needed to work. We don't have millions of dollars to sit around and do nothing all day. So we wore what we needed, and we did the vaccines that we needed to keep our jobs. Some people did not. Some people I'm going to fight this to the day I die. I'm not going to allow the government to tell me what to do. Great. Good for you. I'm so proud of you. I had to do both because I was a teacher, and if I wanted to teach, that was the rules. Things changed. When we opened up trade with China, the point was to get our goods over to China and to open the world to more freedom and show off America. Now, Walmart and Target wouldn't exist without China, as we've learned. So our government has changed. And yet, if you watch the news, look at social media, what you realize is that no one has a freaking clue about it. No one looks at it and goes, oh my God, this happened 20 years ago, or oh my God, this happened 10 years ago, or 50 years ago. No, everyone's up in arms. Oh my God, they're taking away our freedoms. Look at what they're doing. They're taxing us. They're taking away this. They're not allowing us to do this. It's been going on forever, guys. And it usually happens when we get scared. And we get scared because some big bad person comes and does something that scares us. A lot of people will say, oh, well, 9/11 was inside job so we could start a war. I don't think so. I'm not going to say it was or wasn't because who knows? I'm going to say I'm pretty confident it wasn't an inside job. Then they're going to say, we invaded Iraq the second time because Saddam Hussein decided to try to kill George Bush's dad, and that was just revenge, and we wanted to kill him to get him out of the way. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not in the room where it happened, okay? We fought a war. People died. Kids died. Adults died. Old people died. And we thought we had a good reason. When we liberated Kuwait and we tied yellow ribbons and we sang God Bless the USA and we did this whole shebang, okay? America, great country, Whitney Houston, whole thing, Whitney Houston, the Super Bowl. We were so proud of America. George Bush, the first one, first term as president, he's going to get reelected in a landslide. Why? His popularity was huge because, he saved America. He was a one-term president. Because after the war was done, people came home and the happiness and joy was gone because we lost some freedoms and they weren't given back. Then 9/11 happened and we lost more freedoms and we still haven't given it back. If you've gone to the airport, you know that. Now to get past certain things, you pay extra money to the government and they'll allow you to skip certain things. So a normal human who goes on a plane, who doesn't have the extra money, they can sit in line for a long time to go through TSA. But if you have money and you know what you're doing, you can go right through that quickly and you don't even have to deal with it. Or you can just rent a private jet and skip it altogether. This is what we do. There was a news article the other day that showed that it takes longer now from start to finish to go from Florida, Miami to New York than it did in the 1950s. Why? Security. Security and protocols for safety. Yet our air traffic control system is the same as it was in the 70s. We keep thinking the world we live in today is new. We keep thinking, no one's had to experience the tyrannical world that we live in today. Everyone has. Just because technology is better doesn't mean the government is better or different or worse. when we fought in World War II, when we fought in 9/11, when we fought in World War I, there were people who made a lot of money off those wars. There was a lot of people who wanted war before it even happened. There were a lot of people who didn't want war. There were a lot of people who skipped out and tried to avoid going to war. But there was also a lot of people who said, you know what, this is the best thing to do. And there were a lot of people who said, I can't afford to skip out. This is what I have to do. But we forget about those people. We forget about the small amount of people in this world that make up 95% of our population. The 5% of our population can get out of things because of one of two factors: money or power. The rest of us, including myself, are stuck where we're at. I can't just say, tomorrow I'm going to go into a Blue Origin rocket and fly over the country and see how pretty our world is and hold hands and sing Kumbaya with others. That's not how this works. It just doesn't work that way. And I'm so happy that Katy Perry and all the other women could do that. Yay. Good job. I'm so happy for them. But most people can't. And for them or anyone else to say their way of thinking, their rules, their world that they live in, that's how we should be doing it, is like Emperor Palpatine telling us that, stormtroopers or clone troopers being outside our doors to protect ourselves from ourselves. It makes no sense. I should be able to do what I need to do to survive. I'm not going downtown and, beating up on small children. I'm not robbing a bank. I'm not destroying public property. I'm trying to live my life every day, do the best I can, and understand that this world is bigger than I am. This world, we all have things to do in it. This world, we all have people that need us, need to support us, need our love, need support from us, need our respect, need our attention, need our money, need us. Okay? But we're losing that. We've lost that concept. What we've lost is we've lost the point of existing. All we do now is complain and fight. We don't sit and enjoy the world that we are put in. We don't sit and enjoy an air fryer, as silly as that sounds. We don't sit and enjoy technology that we've been given that makes our life better. Instead, we complain. We go on Facebook and TikTok and Twitter or X or Instagram or Snapchat. And all we do is bitch, moan, and complain about how the government is either ruining our lives or saving us. And all that, of course, depends on, who's in power. We bitch, moan, and complain about, how much things cost at the store. Then we bitch, moan, and complain about slave labor in China, which makes our products cost less. And then we bitch, moan, and complain about no American jobs. Then we bitch, moan, and complain because the things are too expensive that come from America, so we can't buy them. See how that it's just what we do. So I've decided, again, because lately I've been going through a lot of, mental reflection. Can I or should I just complain about everything? Or should I look at the big picture and say to myself, where do I fit in? What am I doing? Am I helping or am I hurting? Am I sitting here watching the news complaining that ABC is too negative and Fox News is too positive on the exact same subject? Or am I looking at it in a different way? Am I looking at it in a way going, okay, the news says this is bad. What can I do to make it better? What am I doing? Am I leading a rebellion for good? Or am I just staying on the sidelines and saying, you know what? I'm going to let them figure it out before I start World War III or blow up a Death Star or fight the Galactic Republic. Let me make sure that when I'm starting a war with clones, that I'm not fighting myself. Let me make sure before I blow up this that I'm not actually hurting myself while doing that. Self-sacrifice. Make sure I'm not sacrificing myself to make myself feel better. Because destroying oneself for oneself just seems a little stupid. So before you fight the rebellion, before you fight the man, make sure that you're not the rebellion that you're fighting and you're not the man that you're going against. Till next time.